So I'm assuming that you have already installed Visual Studio Code on your Windows operating system. So first of all, we are going to check whether your Windows 11 operating system already have a previous version of Python or not. For this, you can just open your search bar and search for CMD or command prompt, and then open the command prompt, and then you just need to type Python here. Okay, when you type Python and when you press enter, and if it opens this Microsoft Store, so you can see on Microsoft Store the latest version which is available is Python 3.9, but we are not going to install Python using this Microsoft Store. So when you type Python and it doesn't show any REPL or terminal for Python, then Python is most probably not installed on your Windows operating system. So let's see how we can install Python. So close your command prompt and then open your favorite browser and search for Python download. And the first link which will appear here will be from python.org/download. So I'm going to click on this link, and then straight away on the main download page, you will see this download Python 3.10. At the time of making this video, Python 3.10 is the latest version of Python available. You can also see the previous versions of Python here. So as we have seen, Microsoft Store was showing us the version 3.9, but the latest version at the time of making this video is 3.10, right? So I always trust and recommend to download the Python from the official website, right? So once you are on the download page, click on this download Python button here, which is going to download the Python 3.10 exe file. You can see this file is downloaded. So I'm going to click on this exe file, and then I'm going to minimize my browser. So now on this first window, there are a few important things to note. So the first thing here is Python will be installed at this path on your Windows 11 operating system, right? Now what I prefer generally is to install Python directly in my C directory and not on this long path. So instead of clicking on this install now button, I always click on customize installation button. But first of all, you need to also check this checkbox which says add Python, whatever version of Python you are installing, to path. What this is going to do is it's going to add the Python binary path in your environmental variable on your Windows 11 operating system, which is going to help you to run Python from the command prompt, right? I'm also going to show you how you can manually set this, but just check this checkbox and then click on customize installation. And here just leave everything as default and then click on next. And on the next window, you can see the advanced options, right? So if you want to install Python for all the users, you can check this checkbox. And if you want to download the debugging symbols and debug binaries, you can also check these checkboxes. So it's going to also download all the debugging symbols and binaries, so it will make your debugging easier, right? Now in the customize installation, you can see this location is provided. I generally, as I said, prefer to download Python on my C drive directly. So I generally create this folder which is called Python, and then whatever the version I'm installing. So I'm installing version 3.10. So I generally name the folder Python 3.10, right? If I'm installing the version Python 3.9, then I will name this folder Python 3.9. Okay. And then I'm going to click on install, which is going to install Python. And in between, you will see this warning which says, do you want to allow this app to make changes on your device? I trust this app, so I will click on yes here. And then it's going to start the installation process of Python on my Windows 11 operating system. So just wait for this process to complete. So now in the end, I will see this window which says setup was successful. You also have this option, disable path length limit, which you can do later also. I'm not going to click on this option, and then I'm going to click on the close button. And once you do that, Python is successfully installed on your Windows 11 operating system. So now let's check first on command prompt if Python command is working or not. So I'm going to just search for cmd once again and then open the command prompt. And once command prompt is open, I'm going to just type Python space -- version, okay, and then press enter, which is going to show you the version of Python you have on your Windows 11 operating system. So we have installed Python 3.10, so that's why it's showing us the version of Python. Python also comes with Python package manager, which is called pip. You can also check the version of pip here. So I'm going to just write pip version and then press enter, and it's going to show me the version of pip which is installed for Python, right? So you can see pip 21.2.3 is installed for Python 3.10 on my Windows 11 operating system. So once you already have Python and Visual Studio Code on your Windows operating system, we are ready to go. So first of all, we can check the version of Python, for example. So just write cmd on your terminal, and if you have a Python installed, then this Python version command is going to give you the version of Python. In my case, it's 3.10.0. In your case, it can be different depending on when you have installed Python on your Windows operating system. As you can see, I also have Visual Studio Code. Now let me open the terminal once again and let me just start from the basics. So I'm assuming you are totally new and you just want to create the first Python project in your Visual Studio Code and debug it and run it, and then use Python scripts inside your Visual Studio Code. So let's say I want to create a folder which will be my project folder on the desktop, right? So I'm going to just cd to the desktop here in my command prompt and then press enter. And here I can create a folder. Let's say I want to create a folder named work. So I can just type mkdir command, which is the command line option to create a folder in your command prompt on Windows operating system. And then the name of your folder. So let's say in my case, I want to create a work directory on my desktop. So I can just press enter, and you can see this directory is created. I will cd into this directory and then press enter once again. So now I'm in my work directory. And let's say here I want to create all the Python script for my project. So now here I can just type code space dot and then press enter, which is going to open my work directory in Visual Studio Code. You can see the name of the directory here. This name will always appear in capital letters. So if you are wondering, we have created this directory in all small letters, but this directory is created in capital letters. Here on Visual Studio Code, you will always see the directory name in all capital letters. So now let's create a Python file. You can create a Python file by just right-clicking on the Explorer here, or you can click on this option which says new file, or you can create the file by just clicking on the file and then click on new file. So whatever option is easier for you, just use that option and then just create your Python file. I'm going to name my file as test.py and then press enter. Now as soon as I create a Python file, Visual Studio Code is going to recognize that I want to create Python projects or Python scripts, and it's going to give me the suggestion for installing the extension for Python. You can see, do you want to install the recommended extension for Python? You can click on the install button, which is going to install the support for Python. Otherwise, what you can do, you can click on the extensions icon here, and then it's going to show you the list of all the popular extensions, and you can also search for the extensions. So let's say I want the Python extension. So I will type Python here, and it's going to show me all the extensions related to Python. Now you will also see these options are sorted by their popularity, right? So you can see the number of downloads for this first option is 48 million, then 3.8 million, then 2.6 million. So I'm going to select the first option because it's mostly used. Here you can see who has developed this extension. So it's developed by Microsoft. That's good because Visual Studio Code is developed by Microsoft. So this will be the best extension for the support of Python. And then I can also see the ratings here and the number of downloads. Once again, I can click on the install button, which is going to install this extension, which in turn is going to add the support for Python in Visual Studio Code. So once this extension is installed, you will be able to see these two options here. You have the option to uninstall this extension, and you have the option to disable this extension. So if in future you want to develop, let's say Java or some other language, you can maybe disable Python support or totally uninstall it using these two options. You can also just scroll down and read how you can use this extension, right? So once this extension is installed, then we are ready to write some code. Also, you will observe, so let me just move to the Explorer. You will observe here your Python interpreter, right? So as you might have seen, I have Python 3.10.0 installed. So Visual Studio Code is going to recognize my Python interpreter, and it's going to show this interpreter here. If I have multiple versions of Python installed, or if I have Python installed in multiple places on my Windows 11 operating system, then Visual Studio Code is going to recognize that, and it's going to show all these options here. So when I click on this interpreter option, I have only one Python installation which is recognized by Visual Studio Code. But if I have multiple installation and multiple versions of Python, I will be able to select a particular interpreter for my Python script. If I have Anaconda installed, then also I will be able to see the Anaconda related options here. So you can choose the interpreter from here. Also, when you type Ctrl+Shift+P, you will be able to see this kind of search bar. Here, when you type Python, you will be able to see all these options related to Python. So you can see create a terminal, configure tests, debug Python file, enable disable linting, go to Python object. So you can see you have all the options here on this command palette here. So you can search all the options related to Python. Now, if you want to open the integrated terminal to just run your script, you have this option which says terminal, and then when you click on new terminal, it's going to open the terminal inside the Visual Studio Code, and you will be able to see which terminal is opened. So you can see it's a PowerShell terminal. You can also see this here. If you want to open the command prompt and not PowerShell, you can just choose it from here. So you can click here and then click on command prompt, and it's going to open the command prompt, and you will be able to see the list of all the command prompt terminal which are opened on your Visual Studio Code. Now let me add a very simple Python script here which have two numbers, and I'm just comparing them using if statement. So once you have your script, you have multiple options to run your script. So you can right click on the same editor in which you are writing your code, and then you can see you have this option to run a Python file in the terminal. You also have the run current file in the interactive window. So you have all these options here. Also, you have this run button which is going to run your Python file. Or if you are a fan of command prompt or terminal, then you can directly type your command, for example Python, and then the name of the file which is going to run your Python script in this terminal. So let's say I'm going to choose this option to run my Python script. I'm going to press this button. You can see my Python script is executed, and the result is here, right? So it's going to just select the interpreter from here and then the complete path of the file, and it's going to run this file and then give you the out. Let's say I want to just run this script using terminal. I can just type Python here and then the name of the file, which is test.py, and it's going to give me the output, which is a lot cleaner than using this terminal, because it's going to show you all the complete parts of the Python executable and your file, right? So whatever option seems to be useful for you, you can use that option. Now let's say you ran your Python script and let's say you want to debug your Python script. So you can just go to your script and then add the breakpoint on your Python script using these red dots, right? So you can just hover over the line on which you want to set the breakpoint and then just click there, and you will see this kind of red dot here. That means the breakpoint is set on the third line. Now on the left hand side you have this debug and run icon here, so you can click on debug and run, and here at the bottom you will be able to see all breakpoints you have set. So right now I only have one breakpoint. I can set multiple breakpoints here, and I will be able to see the list of all the breakpoints here. From here I can disable all the breakpoints by just clicking on this icon, which means all the breakpoints are there but they are disabled, right? If I want to remove all the breakpoints, I can click on the remove all breakpoints icon here, and it's going to remove all the breakpoints. So let me add the breakpoint once again. Now for the first time when you are debugging your Python script, when you click on the debug icon here, you will see this run and debug button here, and also you will see this option which says to customize run and debug. You can create a launch.json file. So here you will be able to customize your debug file, for example, which debugger you want to use for your debugging, which Python interpreter you want to use, which file you want to use for debugging. So all these options you can give in the launch.json file. Let me just click on run and debug option, which is going to give me all these options. I want to choose the first option, which is Python file, and once I click on that, I will be able to see that my debugger is running, and my program execution will stop at the breakpoint here. So you can see my execution is stopped at the breakpoint. I can see all the debugging related options here. So when I click on this continue button, my program will run normally. I can just step over, I can step into a function, I can come out of the function, and I can rerun my debugger using this option, and I can stop this debugger using this icon here, right? When you see this pink kind of bar here, that means your debugger is running, right? If you stop it, you will see that this pink bar is gone, right? So this is kind of a trick to observe when your debugger is running or not, right? So let me rerun it once again. You can see the debugger is running, program execution is stopped at this breakpoint. I will be able to see the list of all the local variables on the left hand side. I can watch some variables. Let's say I want to watch a variable b. I can just type b and then press enter, and it's going to give me the value of the variable which I want to watch here. I can also see the globals here, so you can see all the global variable values are here, and I can just step over, right? So I can just go to the next execution point and see what's happening in my script. So this is how you can debug your script. Let me just stop the debugger. I can once again go to my folder explorer. Now once you have added the Python extension, you will be able to see that the Python IntelliSense is also there. So when you type some letters of a method, let's say, it's going to show you all the methods which you can use related to what you have typed in your editor. So when I type PRI, it's going to show me all the print related options, right? I can also, when I just write one parenthesis, it's going to complete that. I can print the value of, let's say, B, right? So all the IntelliSense options are available for me once I have installed my Python extension. I can just save my script by just pressing Ctrl S, which is going to save my script. Now let's say you are an advanced user and you want to use Python Virtual Env in your project, right? So normally, let's say whenever you want to install a Python pip package, you can do it directly. But if you want to create a virtual env for your project, you can also do it easily in Visual Studio Code. So let me create a new test file. Let me name it as test2.py. And here in my test2.py, I have this very simple Python script which uses a package called bcrypt, right? Right now, you can see this yellow squiggly line here which says import bcrypt could not be resolved because we haven't installed this package using pip on our project. So let me just close all these terminals. I just want to use one terminal, which is the command prompt, and let me clear this command prompt here, right? So in order to create a new virtual environment, you can type this command. So Python -m, then venv, and then env, and then press enter, which is going to create a new virtual env for us. And you will be able to see this warning which says, we noticed a new virtual environment has been created. Do you want to select it for the workspace folder? So when I choose yes here, see what happens. So when I choose yes, you will be able to see this virtual env is listed here. So with my Python interpreter, this env is also visible. You can see env venv, right? So now I can choose between the virtual env also from this interpreter list. Okay, so you can choose your virtual env also. So to activate this virtual env, I can give this command and then press enter, which is going to activate my virtual env, and you will be able to recognize using this. So if you see the name env here, then you have activated the virtual env. So if you see the name of your virtual environment, that means it's activated. And then we can just install this pip package here. So I can just write pip space -q install bcrypt, which is my package which I want to install. And once I have installed this package, you can see the squiggly line is gone. That means I can just use this bcrypt package in my script easily now, right? So now I can just type Python command and then the name of the file, which is test2.py, right? So that is test2.py, and then press enter, which is going to run this script, and it runs successfully. Also, when you are done, you can just type deactivate, which is going to deactivate your virtual environment. So I can type deactivate and then press enter. And now I'm in my normal command prompt. Also, once you have created the virtual environment, you will be able to see this directory here, env, right? So all the configuration you will be able to see here. And of course, you will have the track of your files in your version control inside your Visual Studio Code editor using the source control option. So if you have installed Git, it's going to show you what changes you have made, and it's going to help you to commit your code, push your code, pull your code from GitHub or any other repository easily inside the Visual Studio Code. The last option which I want to show here is, let's say you don't want to just run and debug, you want to create a launch.json file for debugging. You can click on the create a launch.json file and then click on Python file, and it's going to create this launch.json file. So as I said, you have the information about the console here, the program which you want to run, And then the request is here, the type is Python, the name will be Python current file, and if you have created multiple debug files, you will be able to choose those files or configurations using this list, right? And when you go to the Explorer, you will be able to see this launch.json file, which is created under .vscode folder. So this is a hidden directory, and you will be able to change the content inside it using this launch.json file. So that's it for this video. I hope you have understood the basics of getting started with Python on Visual Studio Code. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I will see you in the next video.